David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, severe storms and the dangerous flash flood threat as millions head home from the historic holiday weekend. More than 40 million Americans on alert for flash flooding from Ohio into the Northeast, including Philadelphia and New York City. This after record-breaking temperatures baked much of the country. At least 25 heat-related deaths in New Jersey alone. Washington, D.C. with its hottest 4th of July on record. Fireworks on the mall delayed by lightning strikes. We have team coverage tonight. The deadly and dangerous rip currents as millions head to the beach. At least 2 people killed in Florida and more than 300 rescues. Fireworks mishaps, an explosion in Southern California, leaving 1 person dead and several others injured. This fiery scene on New York's Brooklyn Bridge and what pilots reported on a Delta flight. President Trump's address on the National Mall celebrating the country's 250th anniversary. What he said about communism and the state of this country. The coast-to-coast celebrations come amid disturbing images, hundreds of masked white nationalists marching in Washington, D.C. A small seaplane crashes into New York's East River. First responders rushing to the scene. What we're learning tonight. Another brazen art heist in France. Thieves grabbing jewels worth millions from a private museum. A stunning upset at Wimbledon, Naomi Osaka defeating Aryna Sabalenka, and the Americans dominating on the court today. The sights and sounds as fireworks light up the skies across America, celebrating the nation's 250th birthday.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Wade Johnson. We're tracking breaking news from the World Cup. The U.S. team's top scorer cleared to play against Belgium tomorrow night after FIFA lifts the 1-game suspension. But we do begin tonight with the dangerous flash flood threat. More than 40 million Americans on alert from Ohio into the Northeast. This after record-breaking heat scorched millions on July 4th, triggering deadly storms and interrupting or canceling celebrations nationwide. Severe weather uprooting trees and leaving a trail of destruction across New Jersey. Hundreds of thousands are still without power in the Northeast. There are now at least 25 suspected heat-related deaths in New Jersey, but the heat is easing as the new flash flood threat moves in. Our weather team is standing by with the forecast. But first, ABC's Andrew Dymburt leads us off tonight.
Tonight, severe weather threatening as millions of Americans head home after the 4th of July weekend. The weather already impacting travel in the busy Northeast corridor. Philadelphia, New York, and Washington all seeing delays. Powerful storms downing trees and knocking out power in northern New Jersey. Lightning adding to the fireworks show in Camden. A similar scene in Lawton, Oklahoma. Other displays canceled due to high winds and heavy rain. The storms delaying the record-breaking fireworks display at the National Mall. This home in River Edge set on fire by a downed power line. A firefighter hurt. In the Midwest, the Cubs-Cardinals game was delayed by fog in the 6th inning. The start of the game delayed by an hour, parts of the stadium flooded, flash flooding throughout the city. Elsewhere, 5 people were hurt when a silo in Wisconsin collapsed in powerful storms. In the West, hot, dry conditions fueling several large fires. More than 700 firefighters are battling the Babylon fire in southern Utah, the 2nd largest in the country. Near Provo, illegal fireworks causing a brush fire. Fireworks have been banned throughout most of the state because of the risk of fire. Whit, here in New York, those storms bringing an end to the record-breaking heat wave, while in New Jersey, state officials say at least 25 people died last week of suspected heat-related causes. Whit.
All right, Andrew, thanks so much. Let's get right to ABC's meteorologist, Leslie Lopez. So, Leslie, where is the greatest threat for flash flooding tonight?
Wait, we're talking about Ohio out towards the Northeast, but now included in that will be Washington, D.C. So a large area, 40 million people under this dangerous threat of flooding. This is going to start up tonight. The first big batch arrives. And then tomorrow morning, count on the I-95 corridor being impacted anywhere from Philly to New York. And that is about midday. Then we're looking at severe weather outlooks. Getting back to damaging wind, we see frequent possibility of lightning strikes. This is from Virginia Virginia, all the way out towards Connecticut. And we continue on with the heat in the west. Now Phoenix will be dealing with an excessive heat warning as we're getting into Tuesday, posing new fire weather threats. Over to you, Wayne.
Okay, difficult few days ahead. We appreciate it. Thanks, Leslie. Next tonight, a seaplane making a hard landing in New York's East River. Emergency crews rushing to the scene to aid passengers. Let's bring in ABC's Perry Russum. And Perry, what are you learning tonight?
With 8 people rescued after the seaplane made a hard landing in the water here in New York City. This happened in the East River at about noon. Video shows the plane bobbing in the water, leaning on the left side of the wing as first responders get there quickly. Dramatic video from inside shows the violent landing. Look here, the pilot issuing a mayday call after they land, telling passengers to put life jackets on. The FAA says a wing strut snapped as the plane made contact with the water. The fire department says of the 8 people on board, 2 of them have minor injuries. It comes weeks after another seaplane had issues in the same river. Last month, 2 people injured after the plane's wing was damaged by a large wave. As for this case, the FAA is now investigating it.
All right, Perry Russum with those breaking details tonight. Now to the deadly fireworks explosion in Southern California. 1 person killed, several others injured, a car engulfed in flames, and fireworks also setting this fire on the Brooklyn Bridge. Here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
Tonight, an urgent investigation into a 4th of July fireworks disaster in Southern California. At least 1 person was killed and 3 others injured, including a child. A chaotic scene unfolding in front of a home after a car caught on fire when a large quantity of fireworks ignited and exploded in Chino, California.
The car was just engulfed with flames. To see that there's other people that are not leaving with their baby, you know, that's just irresponsible.
This incident, one of several 4th of July weekend mishaps coast to coast. A scary situation in Chicago when a firework hit a Delta plane coming in for landing at Midway International.
In tower, we just had a firework hit our plane, Delta 1076. We're continuing.
In New York, during an iconic fireworks show, a small section of the Brooklyn Bridge catching fire.
Oh God, there was a fire on the bridge.
The angle captured by multiple people. A few miles away in Coney Island, police searching for a suspect who they say opened fire on a crowd watching fireworks. 8 people injured, including young children.
There is no place for this kind of violence in our city. We will not tolerate it, and we will fight it with every single tool at our disposal.
Back here in Southern California, the city of Chino police arresting a 28-year-old man on suspicion of involuntary manslaughter. Now, as for those 3 victims who were hospitalized, they are expected to survive.
All right, encouraging news there. Melissa Adon, thank you. Now to the water dangers as millions across the country head to the beach. In Florida, 2 people were killed and more than 350 others rescued over the long holiday weekend. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
Tonight, a dangerous and deadly holiday weekend on the water.
I'm going in the water right.
A sheriff's deputy dropping his gear to rescue a swimmer caught in a rip current.
She was trying to get on her board, and they got pulled out. She's struggling.
One of more than 350 rescues this weekend in Florida's Volusia County. Tragically, 2 swimmers there died. Drones, helicopters, boats, and dozens of lifeguards scouring Daytona Beach after 17-year-old Marion Anthony vanished in the rough surf. Lifeguards spotted the teen and a friend struggling before they disappeared. The friend pulled to safety. Anthony's body found hours later. His death just moments after a separate drowning claimed the life of a 60-year-old man at that same beach. On New York's Long Island, a different threat.
Someone came up to the lifeguard and said shark.
This image appears to show a victim being carried away by lifeguards after being bitten by a shark. The beach temporarily cleared. The dangers on the water weren't just limited to the beach.
The boat exploded. Multiple injuries, advised at least 1 in the water.
In Maryland, a boat explosion injuring at least 9 people, sending 4 to hospitals by helicopter. And Wisconsin, a sudden storm sweeping across Geneva Lake, overtaking a boat carrying 10 people. The vessel capsized and sank, killing 3 children.
We were informed that a boat had overturned on Geneva Lake. 7 people were rescued from the water. Unfortunately, there was 3 fatalities of people who were not able to be rescued.
And went back to that rip current danger. Experts say you should always swim near a lifeguard, but if you're caught in one, you want to swim parallel to the shore and then float until you're freed of that current. Whit.
Important information. Thank you, Morgan. Now to President Trump's address on the National Mall, marking the country's 250th anniversary on the 4th of July. The president touting America's golden age and the dangers of communism in his speech. This after the event was delayed by lightning. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang.
President Trump addressing the nation from the National Mall on Saturday night, marking America's 250th birthday.
God bless the immortal patriots of 1776 and long live the cause of independence.
But the president also delivering politically charged messages.
We want to keep America great, and we will do so by approving the Save America Act, and you won't have cheating on the elections anymore.
And repeatedly denouncing communism.
We don't want communists in our country.
For your safety, all guests must seek shelter.
The remarks delayed more than an hour past 11 p.m. with storm threats forcing thousands to evacuate the National Mall and seek shelter. And that after a day of triple-digit heat. Crews transporting 12 people to local hospitals for heat-related reasons. Also in the nation's capital on July 4th, hundreds of masked members of the white nationalist group Patriot Front marching through the streets and onto public transit, some carrying Confederate flags. And this striking image, a black passenger seated on the D.C. Metro surrounded by members of the group. Trump's Interior Secretary pressed on whether he condemns the group.
I think that certainly what they stand for is nothing that I could possibly agree with, but one of the foundational principles of the United States, which makes democracy messy, is free speech.
And Whit, President Trump leaves tomorrow night for the high-stakes NATO summit in Turkey, where he'll meet with world leaders on the wars in Iran and Ukraine. It comes as President Trump has been blasting our allies for not spending enough on their own defense and for refusing to get involved in the war in Iran. Whit.
All right, Selena Wang, our thanks to you. Overseas now to the war between Russia and Ukraine. President Trump speaking with leaders from both countries over the weekend. Let's bring in ABC's Marcus Moore. And Marcus, these phone calls come ahead of the NATO summit in Turkey.
That's right. President Trump and Russian leader Vladimir Putin spoke for almost an hour and a half, according to readouts of the meeting. Certainly their discussions touched on the war in Ukraine. Since starting his second term, President Trump has been working hard to convince the two sides to agree to a deal, but no permanent ceasefire has been reached. The warring sides continue with expansive strikes. Ukraine has managed to successfully hit targets deep inside Russian territory and has employed drones on the front line. And while Russia is feeling the pressure on the battlefield with significant losses and a fuel shortage, Moscow is maintaining its heavy assault on Ukraine. And it comes just as the NATO summit is set to begin in Ankara, where President Trump is expected to meet with President Zelensky. Whit.
Marcus, thank you. Tonight, a massive show of mourning in Iran. Hundreds of thousands dressed in black filling the streets for the second day of the days-long funeral for Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The 86-year-old who ruled Iran for decades was killed in a February 28th airstrike in the opening moments of the Iran war. There's much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday. Wildfires erupting across southern Europe as hundreds of firefighters race to stop the fast-moving flames. Nancy Pelosi's 86-year-old husband may face misdemeanor charges over an alleged hit and run. And coast to coast, America marked its 250th birthday with spectacular fireworks. Stay with us. Next tonight, wildfires raging across southern Europe as hundreds of firefighters battle the fast-moving flames. Toxic smoke is raising health concerns in northern Greece after a wildfire engulfed a recycling plant. A 76-year-old man has been arrested, suspected of sparking the blaze. And in southwest France, a growing wildfire there could impact Monday's third stage of the Tour de France. Back here at home, Paul Pelosi, the 86-year-old husband of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, could face misdemeanor charges after police say he was involved in an alleged hit and run in California that left a parked car with major damage. According to the Napa County Sheriff's Office, Paul Pelosi struck a legally parked car on the side of the road and briefly stopped before driving away. No injuries were reported. When we come back, a bold heist in France as thieves make off with millions worth of jewelry from a museum. To the index now, a daring museum heist in France. Thieves stole nearly 4 million euros in jewelry from the Lalique Museum. Police say the burglars smashed display cases and escaped with about 20 pieces before anyone could stop them. The museum is now closed as investigators hunt for the thieves. It's the latest high-profile attack on Europe's cultural treasures. Now to Wimbledon, where the women's draw has been turned upside down in a shocker. 14th seed Naomi Osaka of Japan stunned top-seeded Aryna Sabalenka. 4th seed American Jessica Pegula is in the quarterfinals now after beating fellow American Iva Jovic. And 7th seed Coco Gauff advances to the quarterfinals after beating number 11 seed Belinda Bencic of Switzerland. You can watch more of the round of 16 tomorrow and the quarterfinals of the women's draw Tuesday on ESPN. Still ahead here, across America, the spectacular fireworks displays as the nation celebrated its 250th birthday. Finally tonight, coast-to-coast celebrations as fireworks illuminated the skies for the nation's 250th birthday.
Across the country overnight, 4th of July fireworks lighting up the skies as the United States marked the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. From major cities to small towns, millions of people watching from streets, rooftops, and parks.
It's a big milestone for America, and it's independence, so it's good to celebrate it.
And why was it important for you to come out here actually and brave the heat to be part of this celebration?
Fireworks.
The fireworks. Don't want to miss the fireworks, right?
This year's Macy's 4th of July fireworks show, the biggest in New York City history. In our nation's capital, the Freedom 250 celebration attempting to break the Guinness World Record for the largest fireworks display ever, launching over 850,000 pyrotechnic devices. Americans overseas celebrating too. Our Maggie Rulli just outside Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany.
These are going off right now all across bases around the world. The military making sure that service members and their family get to celebrate this historic moment.
Back here at home, from Philadelphia, the birthplace of America, to Las Vegas, where crowds line the Strip.
This crowd of about 500,000 people.
And thousands packing downtown Nashville, capping off a 24-hour celebration across all Disney platforms and all 50 states. A treasured tradition on this special anniversary.
That was quite a show. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted, most watched newscast in America. And now, World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 4th year in a row.